Businesses want to come to San Antonio, not because of the tax incentives that we give them, but because of the educated force that we're giving them to begin with. And that's our priority. The way we do that is by getting rid of the wasted taxpayer dollars and looking at diverting those funds into our education systems as well. Getting rid of a babysitter, like a babysitter service like Pre-K for San Antonio. And that's a babysitting service that Head Start was a proven program to begin with. And so we need to focus on our education to do that. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, all the balls are back in the bowl for Dr. Matz's next question. We'll let them go ahead and pick 3 of them. This will be for candidates 5, 8, and 13. 5, 8, and 13.
Please describe and talk further about how you would plan to eliminate the high education achievement gap that exists in South San Antonio.
Okay, that's an excellent question. And as a libertarian, it is hard for me to sit up here on stage and listen to the idea that somehow or another we're going to come up with millions and billions of dollars to do all the things that would be nice to do. The fact is, you and I have to look at improving our own homes, and a way to do that is to improve the education we've already talked about. You know, starting education, focusing on education as children getting out of elementary school, to think about, you know, what are their long-term prospects. And really, let's talk about lifetime learning, because we talked a little bit about the community college system. I really believe the community college system is something that we can build on. I've already met with the chancellor of the community college to talk about this. And let's just talk very quickly. Education, communication is equal to wealth. More education, more communication equals wealth. That's the way history has always worked. And you know, if we have less education, we're segregating, you know, our communities and our neighborhoods, then we're going to have more problems. And we have a huge dropout right now. We need to really go into these dropout areas and find ways to bring those families forth and bring those children forth.
Thank you.
One of my professors at Louisiana Tech was Janice Purdue Hill. She's assistant professor, curriculum, instruction, leadership at the College of Education. So she had a very long title. And when I was attending the University of Texas at Dallas, they have a chess program. And studies all across the country have said when students play chess, they start, their math skills kind of go up. Their science skills, because they start connecting things together. They have all these broad ideas, but at the University of Texas at Dallas, something simple as a chess program across this country. You don't have to build a big old football stadium, baseball arena, and all this other stupid stuff that's going to cost something. You can go right there to Family Dollar and get a chess board.
Thank you. 13.
There's so many things that could be said about this, but I think that when you drive through a neighborhood, you can kind of tell, you get a sense of what's happening. And they don't have to be rich, they can be middle, they can be poor, or they can be proud. You do not have to be rich to have a nice neighborhood. You just have to have nice neighbors. And part of that starts with the respect that is shown to each other by how you keep your property. I've noticed that the city made a big jump in '08. That was the first year, I think, that Cheryl Scully was with us, and I think '09. And after that, the bar just flatlines in terms of code compliance, investment. You've got to have people, not just to go and flog people and harass them. We ought to have a program for the elderly who are not able to mow their lawns, or they're not able to take care of them quite as well, or the disabled. I want to be gracious and generous toward them, but I really think that if your neighborhood starts to take a dive in terms of how it looks and the various factors that people associate with a nice neighborhood, then everything else, education, takes a dive with it. So we start with neighborhoods.
Cristiano, your questions for candidates 6, 11, and 12. 6, 11, and 12.
Okay. Given that there's been a bit of chatter about education and specific to the municipal program of Pre-K for SA, what is your commitment in fulfilling the initial purpose of the Pre-K for SA program in preparing San Antonio's youth for an education to career pathways, do you feel the program has met the expectations of the entire city?
I do believe that the initial expectation has been met, but prior to it going into effect, I questioned Mayor Castro on his accountability of the parents of the kids attending pre-K for SA. I asked him, what are the parents going to be doing while their kids are being babysat? And he said, oh no, they're not being babysat. I said, well, what about the parents? So could they need to be attending some kind of schooling that will give them financial experience, nutritional experience, and not only that, parenting skills, because they need that more if they're going to allow their child to advance. They need to lead by example and they need to be held accountable. It is successful, but I question the lack of accountability on the part of the city or the program for the parents. Thank you.
Thank you.
I think you just heard my comment about pre-K for San Antonio, and so there's no way that it meets the expectations, and it was definitely pushed to San Antonio as a lie. Everybody thought when pre-K for San Antonio was passed that they were all going to have the opportunity to go to a pre-K for San Antonio school. Nobody told them about the limits that they had, such as financial limits and things like that, and so it was a lie pushed to the people of San Antonio. And so as the mayor of San Antonio, I will look at disbanding that program and putting that money into a program that works, something like Head Start, which has been a proven program in the past. When you do something like that, and you label a child like that as economically challenged, if you want to call them, you put that stigma on them for the rest of their life, and it's wrong. And so therefore that program is not what it was meant to be. And I will not support that program whatsoever because it is a babysitting service and everybody knows it.
I believe that program was just put into place to help scale up Julian Castro to his run for the U.S. presidency. Marco Rubio, who's one of the presidential candidates for the Republican Party, has had that program more or less placed in Florida for years, several years, but it is for all the children of the state of Florida, not just for a single few. So I believe that program was just meant to try to mirror Marco Rubio's program, but actually to me it has been a failure here in San Antonio. It needs to be for all children if this is going to be a successful program. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Carr, your question for candidates 7, 9, and 14.
San Antonio is the sixth largest city in the nation, yet we're ranked 44th in relation to the size of our airport. Some believe our growth is stymied by our inability to provide easy, direct flights, while others feel our airport is adequate for our city. What are your thoughts on the San Antonio airport, and how would you assist in this planning for the future?
I haven't even answered that.
That's our first applause for a question tonight. That's good. Great job, Mr. Carr. Great job.
There are a couple things we could do short term, but ultimately there is a long-term there's long-term work that has to be done, and it's hard work. And that long-term work is diversifying our economy, growing the number of well-paid jobs in San Antonio. But in the short term, here are a couple of things that I'm committed to. Number one, working with our airport, and our Chamber of Commerce and CBB to develop a deal closing fund in attracting airlines to set up certain lines that make strategic sense for where our economy is today. Ultimately, though, to sustain those lines, we're going to have the traffic. We're going to have the number of travelers coming and going naturally in and out of San Antonio. We should also examine what we can do to strengthen our place in our regional economy. The way Fort Worth and Dallas have developed a regional airport. San Antonio, I believe, given the way we are growing, given the fact that the counties in between us and Austin are the fastest growing, there will be a day where our region can sustain a regional airport.
All right, thank you.
And we should be taking steps to make that happen.
Hello? Okay. What I think we need to do is we need to relocate the airport. I think we need to move it towards the south. Certainly not towards the north where all the traffic is congested. We need to go towards the north. In doing that, we have Texas A&M down here, we have Toyota, then we have the airport. That would also increase the number of people that want to move towards the south. And so in relocating the airport, first and foremost, we need to build the roads around it first instead of building the airport and then later thinking about the roads. We need to build the roads first so that it'll accommodate the traffic, then build the airport. And that way we have a wider, far-reaching airport that will accommodate the tourism and the family that come here to San Antonio. And we do need to consider who the major players are that will come to San Antonio so that we can be that regional hub that will send people to the big cities that they want to go to, whether it's LA, Chicago, or New York.
Thank you.
Certainly we need more direct flights to and from our San Antonio airport. As your mayor, this is an issue that I've given attention to. I've met with Secretary Anthony Fox of the Department of Transportation to talk about the need for more direct flights, in particular to Washington, D.C. And ironically, when I left the meeting, I missed my connecting flight and spent the night in Houston. But so that's on a short-term side. But from a long-term perspective, we do need to get together again around planning for the future growth of our city, and I believe that a regional airport is something that we should start planning for now because it will take a long time to implement that plan. And in addition, we would also want to thoughtfully redevelop the current airport as well. My understanding is that we've started and stopped these conversations in the past with Austin. Each time we've brought it up, either we were about to make a major improvement to our airport or they were. But I think the time is right for us to restart those connections so that we can plan for a better airport for our region in the future.
All right, thank you. I'd like to go ahead. We've got time enough for one more round of questions. So all the balls back in the back. We're doing well on time, by the way. So we should have just enough time for one more round of questions, and then everybody will get a chance for a closing statement. Okay? So, Mr. Griffin, correct? Yes. Your question will go to candidates 5, 7, and 8. 5, 7, and 8.
Okay. Both in business and in politics, solid leadership is an absolute necessity. How do you perceive your ability to lead and drive the effective execution of a long-term vision and plan involving many political, economic, and managerial obstacles?
Excellent question. And, I think it just goes back to the question of why do you want to be mayor? I've probably run for mayor more than anyone else in this city. And I finished second to Castro in the last election. So, but basically, let me just talk a little bit about our regional culture and the challenges that we face here in South Texas. The President of the United States signed an agreement with Mexico called the MUSE, which was Mexican-U.S. Entrepreneurial and Innovation Council. And that is still in effect. We need to be reaching out on a global basis and provide the global leadership that we're capable of. In one way, we are fighting with the Texas legislature because I think the Texas legislature just simply wants to ignore San Antonio or declare San Antonio to be illegal. And basically, we have some of the finest culture and the greatest history in the entire United States right here. So we really need to be proud of the great contributions you and all San Antonians, and particularly the people that have been here for many centuries, and this could be the basis for growing and looking at a better world.
I spent more than a decade working in public finance. My clients were cities. I helped them manage their debt. I took them to the market, issuing their bonds, allowed them to make investments while managing their fiscal health. Spent 15 years in the Texas legislature. Here are the principles of leadership I'll bring to the mayor's office. As your mayor, I will govern in a way that's collaborative. I believe any successful mayor in this nation is one that understands how to pull together a team, partner across traditional lines with folks in the private sector, the nonprofit sector, the faith-based community, in order to take on our biggest challenges, from growing jobs to addressing some of our social needs and concerns in our community. I will govern in a completely nonpartisan way. That is important. We need to protect City Hall from the partisan politics that divides this country. I want our fellow citizens to show up to City Hall representing their neighborhoods, their families, their employees, not their political parties. If we're going to make progress on our economic goals, on our infrastructure goals, we really need to have a united front in this community.
Thank you.
The governor, the lieutenant governor, everybody around us is one party, other people are other party. They're not gonna get the help from Austin. So I just want to show my driver's license of professional CDLs to drive trucks and buses. So anything these people talk about via, don't do nothing they say, because I ride via every single day. I talk to them, I have the same license. I also was a flight attendant candidate for American Airlines. So I know how to evacuate a Super 8 aircraft. So if you're playing with me, I know what that is in the body. So, but one thing that I will do is continue to travel to Dallas, Houston, Kansas City, office. I'm not going to try to reinvent the wheel. I'm just going to go to the masses. I even want to take a trip to Omaha, Nebraska, Warren Buffett, second richest man in the world. I want to talk to you.
Thank you. Dr. Manson. Your question for candidates 6, 9, and 14. 6, 9, and 14.
If you're elected as mayor, what would be your vision for partnerships and opportunities between Texas A&M San Antonio and the city of San Antonio?
Not that she has a vested interest.
Well, for one, we need to get all of the universities and colleges united with the citizens of San Antonio. From the pre-K, and I'm not talking about pre-K for essay, I'm talking about the regular pre-K, all the way to high school. I attended a South San town hall meeting last night, and they had some seniors and juniors and quite a few students. What I learned about them last night was totally different from when I was in high school. They had no idea of what they wanted to do. The university should start mentoring and guiding these people as to what is offered out here, what they need to do to qualify, to get in the system, and to be successful. And not only that, but we also need the parents, grandparents, to pitch in and show them that there's a better way of life, that they can be successful and that they care. That is what the youth today is lacking. They're lacking somebody that shows caring, the initiative to provide for them. And that is what I would do. Thank you.
Thank you.
What I like about San Antonio is that there is a tremendous amount of innovation and opportunity available here. Because of who we are and how we are as a people. I believe that it should begin at the very, very beginning. When children first get into school, we need to decide what it is they want to be. Do you want to be a fireman? Do you want to be a doctor? Do you want to be a lawyer? Do you want to be a businessman? What is it? We need to start there. We need to mentor them all the way as they go through school. Now, why do I say that? Because I was watching KLRN, and they said that there is a disconnect between the school systems and the student. No one knows how to help these children. Well, why don't we come up with a program that will guide these children from the time that they're small all the way through school so that they know what their options are as they go through school, in whichever direction they'd like to go. I'd like to see businesses offer internships. I'd like to see businesses, big ones here in town, offer scholarships to students. And I think together as a community, we can do these things to help students be competitive in the marketplace. And that is one thing that we did find out last night, is you have to be flexible and adaptable with the way technology is moving today. And if you're not, guess what? You're going to get left behind.
Well, I strongly believe in university community partnerships. And as someone who's been real focused on balanced growth in neighborhoods, I'd like to work with the leadership and the students here on Southside development and Southside investment, finding out what would help facilitate development in this area and how we can strengthen the connections between this tremendous asset, this beautiful campus that we have here, and the surrounding Southside community. But then what I think we should also work on is ensuring that the students have a pathway forward beyond their degrees. How can we create partnerships that would allow them to have apprenticeships? And I'm drawing on my own past experience in relation to this. When I left college and I went to a good school, I went to Yale University, I got home the weekend after graduation and got the New York Times, Sunday Times, to look for a job because I had no clue on what it was I wanted to do or how I should connect or look for a job. And I don't want your students to be in that position. Be great if they can connect to industry leaders and have the benefit of apprenticeships, or also have the benefit of talking to and working with folks who are professionals in order to help guide them in making that first career move when they finish at Texas A&M San Antonio.
Mr. Adiola, your final question tonight goes to candidates 11, 12, and 13.
Okay. I guess I'll make this one a little more personal. They say everything's bigger in Texas, and as you're looking at the national news and Texas news, it's constantly touted and talked about that, and I've lived in all these cities. Houston is booming. Corpus Christi is booming. San Antonio is booming. Even my little hometown of Del Rio, Texas claimed they were booming. What do you believe San Antonio uniquely has to offer companies interested in relocating to Texas?
I believe that the one thing that San Antonio has that is unique to Texas is true diversity. We have things like the Alamo, we have things like, different malls, but diversity is really what we have. We have diversity when it comes to our economic system. You look at Toyota, automotive industry. You look at UTSA and now St. Mary's developing courses in information assurance. Now you're looking at cybersecurity, rack space, security. And so that's what we offer, businesses that want to come here, a diverse workforce. But in order for us to do that, we have, like I said, we have to focus on the education. That's working with Texas A&M San Antonio, and making sure that we are offering the prerequisites for the courses that you want to offer to help continue to develop our workforce. But we have to work with the high schools as well, the middle schools as well, because it starts as early as that. We need to continue to work on working on our education system in order for us to continue to diversify the markets that we bring to San Antonio. We cannot just focus on one area or just the automotive industry or the cybersecurity. We have to focus on every industry you can think of in order for them to want to come here. Again, not because of tax incentives, but because of the workforce that we can offer them. And so that's what makes us different from the majority of cities that are currently booming right now.
Thank you.
I believe it is the diversity of the people, the diversity of the cultures, the diversity of the jobs. I would actually like to see San Antonio's medical center grow more so that we would become like a national attraction for like therapy centers throughout the nation. I know that San Antonio also has our tourism industry that brings people not just to San Antonio but to Texas, because they come here for fiesta, they come here for the river, and they travel to other cities. But our education system here is very diverse. The culture of the people that work here is very diverse. And I believe that we need to go ahead and make sure that before the people come from out of state to come live and work here, that as this city continues to grow, that we need to have a more economic diversity. And I believe that that is starting with the education systems that we have here in San Antonio and throughout the state. Thank you.
Thank you.
I think San Antonio has for many, many years been the crossroads of Texas. They call us the heart of Texas because we are right smack in the middle. We have geopolitical and geographical advantage over just about anybody. I-35 north from Canada to Mexico, crisscrossing I-10 east and west from Florida to California. That's a big deal to have that kind of transportation accessibility. I think we've also grown our universities here. I think the A&M in College Station may be watching in their rearview mirror A&M at San Antonio to figure out if they're going to get passed. And same thing with UT at Austin. May find that UTSA is actually going to pass them up. We have a great deal of good education going on here. We have the University of Texas Health Science Center. We have the county government, which is sponsoring the university health system and the Robert B. Greene. There's one thing after another that we have, and I think that all the people in Texas have to be very proud of what we're doing here, and we have great people. We have people that will look each other in the eye. That's worth a lot.
Thank you. Okay, we're going to move on to our closing statements now. We're pretty much right on time, even a little ahead of time. You're welcome. 30 seconds each. Pull at random. You want a minute at least? All right. I guess I'll change the rules. A minute each. We'll go at random so nobody has the final say. Candidate 11.
You know, less than 8% voted in the last city election, and there's no reason, there's no wonder why. It's because we the people have lost faith in our elected officials. They always say, vote for me and I'm going to be your voice, and they always end up being the voice of a political party or a special interest group or a political agenda. The way I see it is when I swore an oath, it was to support and defend the Constitution and the people that it governed, regardless of your political affiliation. That's why I'm running for mayor. You and I, we may agree and we may disagree. You ask me the question, I'm going to give you the answer, whether we agree or not. But note this, what separates me from every candidate up here is that I know how to take an emotional step back. See, I understand that I'm elected to represent you, not me. I am one voice out of 1.5 million people. And so even though we may disagree, I will vote based on what we the people want, not what I want. As a career leader, I listen to what we the people want because I was willing to give my life for you. I will not bow down to special interest groups. I will listen to we the people and I will be your voice. I will be the mediator between the city council and you because that is my responsibility. I ask y'all to get out and vote because if we don't, we're going to end up with the same 2 years of what we're doing, of what we've had for the last 30 years. Thank you.
Candidate number 6. Yes, I'm sorry, 6. Yes.
Okay. I want to be your mayor because I want to show the people of San Antonio that it can be done better and more efficient. They are not listening to us. Good examples, the streetcar. How many times do we have to vote no? And they keep shoving it down our throat. Smart meters. We don't need smart meters because the ones that are in place right now are still working. So why are they forcing us to accept that? One word, extortion from CPS. And City Council, let them do it. I'm here to stop them. I will be your goal line defense along with you. I will not be the Pied Piper, and I will not be a dictator. I will be a representative of you, the people, because after all, You're the ones that elect, and your expectations are for me to do what you want me to do, not what the rest of the council wants us to do. I respectfully ask for your vote, and in closing, I want to wish each and every one of you and your families a very happy Easter. Thank you.
Thank you. Number 13.